But wildfires in other parts of the country are spreading at record levels this year. Tens of thousands of people have been forced from their homes, and the fire risks are expected to stay high well into September. Ken McMullen is the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and is the fire chief in Red Deer, Alberta. Chief, good morning.
Well, good morning.
The federal government says fire risks will stay high into the fall. What does that mean for Canadians who live in those interface areas?
Yeah, I just think it's a very friendly reminder to stay vigilant and understand that although the fire risk may not be quite as volatile in all of our provinces and territories, there is still an extreme wildfire season occurring as we speak and will continue for the coming weeks and months. So please let's not let our guard down.
And what does that mean for firefighters? What are the biggest challenges they face right now?
I think in practical terms, fatigue comes into play. We understand that these men and women have been at these fights for several weeks already, and we're probably only through the halfway mark of the entire wildfire season. So there's a lot of pressure put on these folks that are out there fighting the fires, not only on themselves, but our equipment and the system overall. And what I mean by the system is the ability to get our resources between provinces and territories on the municipal side. The men and women that work for towns, villages, and cities is still really struggling, which is why we continue to advocate for the creation of a national fire administration on the municipal side to help with that coordination and deployment.
Okay, we'll talk about that more in a sec. Aside from that longer-term project, what do you think the federal government could be doing now to support wildland firefighters?
We just need to recognize that we've got a significant need to get our resources between provinces and territories. Our colleagues in wildland firefighting, the men and women that work for our provinces and territories, they use a system through CFC, the Canadian Interagency Forest Firefighting Center, that is very well established. They are the 5-star rating for how we get resources between provinces and territories. The Canadian government needs to recognize that doesn't work on the municipal side. We don't have that mechanism, and we need that. So we need to get that established today.
And remind us why the municipalities are important here.
Yeah, there are 124,000 municipal firefighters in this country, made up of our career, composite, and volunteer firefighters. 87,000 of those are volunteers. When wildland fires occur, they often occur in remote locations. They start in treat areas, and then they potentially move into areas that are populated. And those populated communities are often out in our remote communities that is often protected by a volunteer fire service. Regardless, we are relying on our municipal firefighters to support wildland firefighters more today than we ever have before. 2023, Canada's worst wildfire history, saw a lot of reliance on the two groups working hand in hand. We saw that again in 25, and we're absolutely working with conjunction with our colleagues in wildfire today in 2025.
So there's wildland firefighters, there's municipal firefighters, and then there are, small rural communities and members of those communities who want to be involved. The federal government's been funding some of that in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Mm-hmm. In BC, there's kind of an ongoing debate about the role that community members can and should play and when they shouldn't be involved. Where, in your view, is that kind of intervention helpful and where is it unhelpful?
I think it all comes down to safety training and the degree of responsibility. We have to have a coordinated approach when it comes to responding. Every event starts locally, which means that there's a local fire department that's involved in these events. It is not helpful. I'll just say it's not helpful to have people just show up and say, hey, I'm here to help fight the fire. We have to understand that we must use utilized, trained, properly equipped, safe individuals when we're putting out these fires. There are lots of things that our communities can do to help prevent the fires or reduce the fires in your own communities. Take a look around your property today and see what type of flammability you have in your own property. Use those fire smarting principles that us in British Columbia are very familiar with to reduce the risk. But just showing up and saying, here, I'm here to help, isn't as helpful as we might think it is.
As you mentioned, your group is looking for a national fire center to coordinate all of this. How much support do you have from the provincial wildland firefighting organizations, BC Wildfire, for example, and others?
Yeah, you know what? our colleagues in wildland firefighting, our provinces and territories, certainly understand the reliance and the ability to work collectively with our municipalities. I think we've got good support from our colleagues in wildland firefighting. We equally have fairly good support from our provinces and territories. At the federal level, they're always concerned about jurisdiction and making sure that the federal government doesn't overstep its boundaries within the province and territories. We believe that the model of a national fire administration does not create any jurisdictional issues. In fact, we believe that it complements jurisdictional issues, and it's one that is ultimately going to make all Canadians safer when we have better coordination on the municipal side that will continue to work very well with our colleagues on the wildland side to make sure that Canadians stay as safe as they possibly can.
Ken, good to talk to you again. Thanks very much.
As always, Chris, you have a great day to you and your listeners.
Ken McMullen is the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. He's also the fire chief in Red Deer, Alberta, and that's where we reached him this morning.